Alright, so I am now rid of a tractor tire. I just flopped it onto some guy's trailer and life is pretty good. Now this is something, man, my hair's all, I just got a haircut like this morning, so it's kind of doing its own thing. So that is one thing that I was, set the loader down here, a little bit concernified about, because say, what are you gonna do with an old tractor tire? And I took that thing off of my old case tractor and it is pretty well roached. I mean, there's chunks of rubber flaking off one side of the sidewall on it. It's just in general completely ugly. And it's huge. I don't know what that thing weighs. I would guess 400 to 500 pounds probably. I mean, I can't even think about picking it up myself, and even just standing it on one end is pretty much all that I've got, and I'm not exactly in that bad of shape. So what are you gonna do with one of those things? Well, you know, you could take it to some local tire shop that does like cars and light trucks and stuff, and they probably won't take it. I had a couple of absolutely destroyed, like shredded, rotten tires off that old Ford tractor that were on it when it pretty much got pulled out of the sticks and dumped off into my yard. It'd probably been sitting there decaying with those rotten tires on it for 20, 30 years. And I took that to a couple local tire places. Well, one that I remember, maybe more, and that's the shop that I deal with fairly often because they're pretty reasonable on their prices. And they're like, yeah, man, we can't get rid of these. I mean, we have the regular ones disposed of, but there's nothing we can do with this, basically. So I ultimately ended up paying another tire shop that also does like not only cars and trucks, but like large commercial vehicles and stuff, and they do farm tractors and whatnot. I ended up paying them, I think, like 20 or 30 bucks per tire to get rid of those things, and there's not really all that much I could do with it because they were hardly even recognizable as a tractor tire by the point I dropped them off there. And so I got to thinking, you know, when I took this tire off, it's like, well, I don't want to pay someone to get rid of it because I'm too cheap. And it dawned on me a while back that people will pay money for the most exorbitant, completely pointless, worthless of things that you can possibly imagine. So therefore, if you have anything of even any value whatsoever, someone will probably want it for free if you can connect with that person. And old tractor tires, you know, the big rear wheels, they're not really all that desirable, to be brutally honest with you guys, but they do have their uses. The best use for those things I've seen here in Texas is there's people who will take those and they flop them over on their side and they put some kind of floor in them. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they basically turn the tire into a watering trough for livestock. I always like that idea. Other people will like flop those things over in their yard and fill them up full of dirt and plant flowers in them, or you know, they'll give them to their kids and stuff them full of sand and it's a giant hillbilly sandbox. There's a lot that can be done with those things. But the way I got rid of mine and saved myself $30 to $50 in the process, probably for something that size, that was bigger than the ones I got rid of a couple years ago, was to put an ad on the Normie Book Marketplace, and I also posted it on Craigslist. Craigslist kind of turned out to be a waste of time. There's only one person who wrote to me and wanted it on there, but off of Normie Book, surprisingly, there were... Pull up my other cell phone here. I promise you guys I'm not a drug dealer. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how many people reached out for this. And there was one other guy who was too dense to read the listing where I said it's no longer useful as a tractor tire, and he's like, what size? Will it fit my machine? Oh, I would have paid for it if it fit my machine and it was usable, but he'd know neither of those was the case if he actually read the thing. We got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people plus the goof, so 7 people who reached out to me to get a free tractor tire in the span of, I don't remember exactly, but I'd say roughly 24 hours, maybe a little more, and somebody came and took it, and I'm thrilled about that. That guy had his own use for it. He was, he kind of had the gym rat look going a little bit, and he said he was going to use it. He was going to take it home and pick it up and roll it around and set it down and pick it up again a whole bunch of times, so more power to it. I hope he has a blast with that thing. And, yeah, so that's the long and short of it. Don't just immediately pay to get rid of stuff like that, because there's probably someone near you who will want it as a flower garden or a sandbox or whatever. However, there is one caveat to this. I was thinking about it. Next time I have tractor tires like that to get rid of, and I'll have at least 2 off of that Farmall H and 1 off that John Deere over there in fairly short order that I have to get rid of. I'm probably not going to list them for free, because a bunch of those people who reached out to me, they're like, yeah, I can't be out there, blah, blah, blah. Or I ask them, they'll message me, is this still available? Yeah, do you want to come and pick it up? Never hear back from them, or else they just say like yes. But you can tell they're not really all that hot to trot on actually coming out here and taking this thing off my hands. So this is something that I learned. This is actually a pretty valuable business lesson. You need to be careful what you give away for free. I'm not saying like, if you have the means to do so, you shouldn't give like family and friends nice gifts or whatever if you want to. But when it comes to something where you actually have a vested interest in the person taking whatever it is, you have to be really careful about giving that for free, because whoever's getting it for free isn't going to feel very invested in it. They don't really have any real obligation to do anything with that. One of the companies that I've done some advertising for over the years on this channel, and I wouldn't say this if it was possible to figure out which company it is, but it isn't, because at least a good number of them offer something similar to this. But they had a kit that they would give to school teachers and whatnot about their products and the types of things that they sold. And this is a pretty nice kit. I don't know what their cost on this is, but I would guess it was probably a good couple $100s or so. And if you're a kid in high school and your shop teacher, whatever, procures this from this specific brand of equipment, that would be a pretty fun class to get to mess with the things that are in this kit. And I was talking to someone about this, and they're like, yeah, they should really give those away for free. It's a very large, very successful company. They got the money. They should just be giving these things out. And I talked to one of the people from this company about it one time, and I told her what the person said, and she just smiled and laughed, and she's like, yeah, let me tell you about that. You want to know the real reason why these things aren't free? Sure. Why is that? Well, they used to be free, but the problem is we gave them to all these high school teachers, and very few of them actually made an effort to use these or incorporate them into their lesson plan because they had no skin in the game. And meanwhile, we're out the whatever it costs to produce this this lesson thing for the kids, and it never got used. It sat around on a shelf, and I guess one day they threw it out or whatever. And so we started selling them for fair market value, and now the people who get them, they're invested in it because they had to come up with that money somehow or another. The school did, the taxpayers, whatever. So now when they get one of these, you can bet that those kids are going to learn about the kinds of machinery we sell through this kit. And yeah, and so that always kind of stuck with me. And I feel like if I had listed that stupid tire for like $20 or something, then I probably wouldn't have had any of the tire kickers. I wanted to work in the tire kickers line. I probably wouldn't have had many of those tire kickers. Probably someone would say, yeah, I don't really want that. I don't really want a hillbilly tractor tire garden that bad. So we're not even going to reach out to this person. But, it's free, so anyone can have it. The other thing is, back when I was doing a lot of commercial welding, one of the people that I employed, because, I wouldn't say this if you guys could figure out who, but there were several people, a good number of people who worked here, so there's really no way to know. One of the people I employed, he said he wanted to learn about welding. He wanted to be a welder. All right, great, excellent. I'll give you some free lessons, so on and so forth. The whole time that he worked here, he took me up on a grand total of, guess how many lessons? 0. And I mean, they were free. Like, literally, we'll take stuff out of the scrap bin, and I won't even charge you for the wire and the gas and the electrodes we burn up. Never took one up, ever. So what I decided after that didn't work out is I'm not going to be quite that generous ever again. If I'm ever in a similar position, then they're not going to be free lessons. They're going to be, hey, man, you work here for like 3 hours unpaid, and I'll pay you with an hour and a half long lesson. Something along those lines, just so they're actually invested in it. And, yeah, that's a valuable lesson, because if you have a vested interest in someone taking something, more often than not, if it's free, it's like a deal that's almost too good to pass up for that person or whatever. So, and obviously the vested interest with that person working here was they become a more valuable employee for me. And they don't really feel the need to do this, even though there's tremendous personal gain that they stand to take on from doing so, because it's not that important. It's free, whatever. It's like people. Someone told me, like, my kids, when they start driving, I'm not going to give them a free car. I'm going to make them, like, mow lawns, and then they give me $500 for it or something. He was pretty well off. He said, I'll buy him something nice or whatever. But that way they're invested in it. They're not just getting a BMW that daddy bought them, and they're going to be doing burnouts with it in the school parking lot or whatever. They at least have some skin in the game. So Random video, probably not the most entertaining thing in the world, but here's the lesson. If you change your own tractor tires, you will save a lot of money. It is a pain to do, but it's honestly not that bad. Get yourself some good tire irons. I like that bead buster thing that Bead Buster sent me to try out. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd really want to do these without one of those or something similar, because I've tried forcing beads off of things like with the front end loader bucket. There's probably a trick to it. I never figured out that trick. It's just a colossal time sink and it takes an exorbitant amount of energy. But if you get the proper tools one way or another, you don't even have to pay to get the wheels to get the tires hauled off. Except for those two that I had that you pretty much couldn't tell they were tractor tires anymore because they're so far broken down. Other than that, I mean, people will take these things and they think you're doing them a favor by giving them away, and you really are. There's no reason not to, unless you're just lazy or incapacitated. And it's free. I'm amazed how many people wanted a free, pretty nasty looking tractor tire, but they did, and it's gone, and I saved a disposal fee and probably at least a couple $100 changing that myself. So just some random thoughts. It's kind of a chill Saturday afternoon right now. I'm doing this. I got some other stuff going on today, so I just kind of wanted to share my 2 cents. Thanks for watching. Cheers.